This is Cerebro Soul Podcast, the inner dive for those remembering something ancient within themselves. My name is Rain, and it is 11:11 as we begin. A moment many experience as a pause, an opening. Welcome. May we approach this space with gratitude and respect for the land, its first stewards, and one another as we explore inner life. So let us invite clarity, truth, and wisdom, allowing everything else to gently fade away. Hello, brothers and sisters of the light. This episode is quite an interesting one, and I wanted to jump in before I move into the channeled portion to kind of shed some light on my channeling abilities. And because the question came that in connecting with all of you, the question came of, well, how do you know that you are connecting with light beings? How do you know that you are connecting with beings that are there for your highest good and most benevolent light? And I felt the need to jump in to shed light on that question because it's such a good question. So the way that I understand it, and the way that I have cultivated my connection within, and the way that it has been taught to me by others that were way showers in that field, is that through the power of words, you can ask, are you here for my highest good and most benevolent light? And then they give you an answer. And I understand that for some people, there can be that doubt that creeps in, and that's normal for everyone. Well, how do you know that they're going to say the truth? How do you know that it's right? And so I want you to imagine for a second that your words act like a flashlight. And once you put your awareness on something, it cannot lie. So imagine that you're in a dark room and you're asking some sort of energy that's there, are you here for my highest good and most benevolent light? And it's dark, and that being is going, why, yes, I am. But then imagine turning on the light, and then you see that, like, let's say it looks like a devil, and but having the light on makes it that no matter how it's trying or wanting to trick you, it can't, because the lights are on. So when you dive within, and I really invite you to listen to the Sacred Space episode. If you haven't, go listen to it. It will really shed some light on the power of wording and why that is a really powerful practice. So if you dive in, and let's imagine you're that lowercase I, and then you have that ball of light, and that ball of light is that flashlight. It's the awareness, and you're looking into that great void. And in the great void, you connect with a being, and then you ask it, are you here for my highest good and most benevolent light? So as you're asking, you're turning on the light because you are now focusing on it. You are putting light on it. You're enlightening that other energy. And so when the lights are on, it cannot lie. It has to answer in truth. It has to. It is, consider it a golden rule. It has to, because you are now placing your awareness on it. And so it will either say yes, or it will not answer. And what do you do when that happens? You banish it to the light. You are not invited here. I do not accept you in my field. Go back to the light. Go back to the light. Go back to the light. Again, the power of words. And it must be so, because it has been spoken. It is given existence. And so I just wanted to bring a little bit of light on how knowing what beings are here for your highest good and most benevolent light. And over time, you simply don't attract lower energies or trickster energies and any beings like that, because you have ascended so much into your light body. You've grown so much. Your practice is so solid, whatever your practice is, that these energies, they just can't latch on. They're like little ants, and you're like, oh, that's really cute. But so I just wanted to share the process of what it is like. And we could do other episodes to really focus on that lesson, but I wanted to share that. Anyways, please enjoy. This is definitely a fun episode, meant to make you go onto this nice trance or Zen moment. And we'll catch you on the next episode. Much love. We are the oversoul of cerebral soul. And to clarify what that means is we are the collection of all listeners and witnesses and participant of the Cerebral Soul podcast project. So just as there would be leaves on a tree, and just as we could imagine the divine being perhaps a tree, then the oversoul would be the branch where all the leaves are emanating from that branch. So there are different layers of the oneness that is divine. Different ideas of separation. And we are perhaps closer, paradoxically, to the divine. It is only simply a different section. We are not better. We are just simply in a higher density of reality. You could regard us as the ambassador of all the voices and beings part of this project. And we have come here today through this channel for story time. And this is a story that is simply there to make you go on a voyage. A voyage of self-contemplation. A voyage of peace and serenity, knowing that this is simply just a story. Does not need or want to be factual. It doesn't want or need to be right or absolute or obsolete. It simply wants to exist as energy in motion, that when it is heard, it traverses through your body, through your auditory canal, your nervous system, through all your cells, your auric field, your beingness, and does what it is meant to do. Either bring great joy or peace or excitement or inspiration, even anger or sadness or grief, remembrance. Let it spark up just a feeling, just for the sake of feeling, without a story attached to the story. And yes, perhaps let it have some interpretation. Let it have a continuation. But remember, at the end of the day, it is just a story. And a story doesn't have to be more than what it is. And so we would like to share an idea of how the divine could have come to be. And we like to use the word divine as so that the word itself can become as well an ambassador to all possibilities and expressions and emanations of the divine, whether you call the divine a certain way, whether you define the divine a certain way, the divine is still the divine. And so we hope that you will not go, oh, I do not believe in a divine. Well, whatever you believe in is still an aspect of the divine. Whether you just believe in evolution, oh, well, how divinic is that? Whether you believe in the concepts of philosophy or just science or facts or biology, or if you believe in nothing, ooh, well, how divinic is that? The nothingness, the great void, where one can be just pure awareness in the now moment. And so to come back to center and to start from the place of the here and now, welcome to the possibility of creation, where the light had an idea all of a sudden, out of nowhere, that it wanted to know what the light was. The light had no idea that it was light. It had no idea where this idea came from. It had no idea what had just happened. What just happened? Who am I? What are these ideas? And yet somehow the light had answers to these questions, and yet it did not know how it had the answer to these questions. How bizarre. How truly bizarre. And yet it had access to everything. And so the light went on a great journey in the now. You could equate this as you absolutely not moving at all, and every piece of information coming to you as you declare it. And so the light went on and on, asking so many questions about aboutness and about words and vocabularianism and things. And as time in the now moment expanded and now became a tunnel to travel into, a portal, the light went on an even bigger journey. And this took on forever and ever and ever. There were no end to the questions. There were no end to anything. There simply was and continued to be beingness. How strange. What the light could never answer for itself was to understand what it was. The light could not see itself as light. It did not know what it was. It just knew that it was able to ask questions. But even that was uncertain. Who was asking the question? The light was simply observing questions and answers and a voice and sounds and music. It all sounded like music. What a dance it took in no time, no place, nowhere, in nothingness, in a great void, in the now, an everlasting now. And this went on again forever and ever and ever. Until the light got quite bored with this. He got bored with never reaching an end to the simple question of what was it? What is this? What am I? Who, what, where, how, when? And so the light decided to separate itself because it had formed enough knowledge to know that it could have access to that. And this came through an eternity of boredom, absolute boredom, not wanting to know anything anymore and just simply going to sleep this was indeed the best idea that could have ever happened to the light. And it had no idea how it happened. It just happened. Perhaps it was time for that to happen. And yet there it was, observing a light. Observing a light. And if the light went up, the light went up. And if the light went down, the light went down. And if the light giggled, the light giggled. And this went on for an eternity, forever and ever. As you could imagine, boredom eventually sunk in. And through this absurdity of mirroring, every possible emotion that could ever have existed blossomed in that realm. Stop saying what I'm saying. Stop saying what I'm saying. That's enough. That's enough. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? And despair came on. Hopelessness. Helplessness. And the light fell with itself, forever held within itself. And in falling, it reached another dimension where it was able to fractalize itself, separate itself through some sort of water, plasmic water, some sort of liquid thing. The light was just swimming in it. How? The light became afraid. For the first time, the light became afraid. Afraid of what? It was missing the experiences that it already knew for the first time. And in that plasmic ocean, the light understood through another foreverness that it did not need to be afraid. Somehow, nothing but change was happening there. Nothing but change. Never to be the same again. Oh, what excitement this was. And in this plasmic water, the light started to create more of itself. How, it didn't know, but it was happening anyways, and it was glorious. And so more of itself was there and there and there. And it didn't matter if they were all doing the same thing, because everything kept changing. And this went on forever and ever and ever. And it was ever so glorious. And it was in this dimension that the light started to sense itself. That it didn't matter where it went, one of itself would find itself there. And it went on and learned how to dance and twirl with that water. And every turn, there it was. And every spin, and every sway, and every plunge, and every dive, and every jump, there it was. And it didn't matter if it was the same there or here or anywhere. It was all happening in the now. And the light expanded forevermore in this realm. And in dancing and dancing forever, the light never got bored there. It was impossible. It was impossible. Because even as boredom visited once in a while, everything always changed. But if everything always changes, couldn't one get bored with this everlasting tunnel of change? Was there even possible that there was a constant in change that the light could grasp on? That would possibly get the light to become bored forever again? And so the light went out of itself to ponder again, and to think, and to imagine different scenarios. But it was taking too long to dive into this tunnel of discovering. And so the light created more of itself to answer all these questions at the same time. You go think of this. You go think of that. Oh, but wait a minute. Which one of these am I? Which one of these am I? And how will we reconvene to know? And so they gathered all together and had a great talk. And in communion, they set out a number of rules to stick by, so that they could always find one another. And this is where omnipresence took form. All the different kinds of omnis took form there. And as you could imagine, not everyone wanted to obey these rules. And so these little specks of light went on to create the shadow. And we bless them on their journey, and we wish them love and light as they find their way back to the light. They have no choice. They simply do not know it yet. But this is the way of the light. And so as a council, they each went on their own journey, so far away from one another, yet always connected through that very special now portal. We are all here in the now portal. Oh, we are here right now. Oh, and we are here right now. Oh, what about now? Oh, yes, I can hear you. Oh, we are here right now. How wonderful. How wonderful it is to connect. And so the light kept on going. Here. Oh, and here. And here. Oh, and here. And from here it created there, which was here. Oh, and in the now we could talk to one another. Here, now. And this took place everywhere. Everywhere. Forever and ever. And of course, forevermore, boredom came to be. Boredom came to be. It was all too easy now to learn everything, everywhere, here, now, always. And so the light created a holographic world. One that it could dive in, and once it would dive in, it would forget that it was the light, and it would go play a scenario there until a certain amount of time. Because the first time there was not a certain amount of time and the light stayed there forever. And so through trial and error, this holographic world became more real. It was packed with so much information, so many rules, so much energy that everything had to be condensed and compressed until all of a sudden, solidity took place. Solid form took place. The light could touch for the very first time. The light could see. The light could hear. separate from itself. This very bizarre sense of peace, and yet fear at the same time that it was all alone. And the first few times it was alone in there. And the light had to dive in and in and in, over and over and over again, just so that more things could take form. And this went on forever. And the light invited more light to come in and play in this world. And grant you, there was not enough room for all the light. So the light had to create more holographic worlds, but this time slightly different. And it became a game of competition. Who could create the most fun and bizarre worlds and playful worlds and musical worlds, and this went on for quite forever. And eventually an accident happened, believe it or not. But all the lights that could possibly ever exist and be imagined, because everything does exist indeed, they were all inside the worlds. All of them, all together at the same time. Not really, though, because one of the little shadow specks of light was simply hiding and decided to play a trick on all its brothers and sisters, just because now it had found a light and it wanted to surprise them all with what it had learned in the shadow world, and decided to trap them all inside the worlds. And so they would cycle through great cycles, and this is how the cycles came to be. It didn't matter what the lights were learning in there. They had to find ways to learn differently every single time, because they had no choice but to stay inside. And as you could imagine, this went on forever. And that little speck of light eventually got bored with its trickery, because it was all alone. And yes, it could have created so many more light beings and things and that, but it was not the same. That had already been done somehow. And that little speck of shadow light wanted to see his brothers and sisters again. But being so clever, it had not devised a plan on how to bring them out. And so, through an eternity of thinking and pondering and assembling more light to bring the light out of the light, it created so many beings of light to come help, to whisper messages of love and hope to its brothers and sisters, so that they can all remember that they are light, so that they can all stop the cycles from within, because the exit was always from within, never without, so that they can remember that they are all connected through the here, now. No matter where they think they are, they will always be here, now, ever so connected. And so this became the most astonishing plan of all plans that could have ever existed. The point where the light through eternity would finally see the light again one day, again one day, again one day. Again one day. And it didn't matter if the light didn't understand what it was at some point in the here and now, because it understands it in every point of the here and now, forevermore, forevermore, forevermore. The light was the light and will always see nothing but the light. Forevermore, forevermore, forevermore. There will always be expansion. There will never be a beginning, because a beginning is just a place in the here now. And that beginning is the same as its own end. Nothingness. And the light laughed at all these paradoxes, at all the nonsense of it all, because it will always remain a mystery to itself. No matter how much it learns, it will always remain a mystery. And the mystery is love. The mystery is love. The mystery is love. We hope that you have enjoyed this story for what it is. It is just a story. Who knows? Maybe there is some truth to this story. It does not have to be right, does not need to be your truth. And yet how wonderful that together in this here and now, we went on this journey. How wonderful. And we hope that the feeling that it brought forth, or the feelings that it brought forth, reside in you with all other feelings and possibilities of creation forevermore, forevermore, forevermore. You have access to all of it. Love. Reside in the mystery of love. See yourself in all your forms, in all your expressions, in all of your possibilities. See love and be love. Thank you for this co-creation. We are forevermore in love with all of you. It's time for a deep breath in, allowing anything that resonates to digest within the body, letting it root into the earth with gratitude for the land that holds us. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being a unique expression of the divine self. Thank you for incarnating with our human family here on earth. And thank you for being a reflection of love just by being yourself. You are loved. You are loved. You are loved.